Be here today. I'm really happy to be here. This is going to be one of the highlights of my reporting. I was supposed to start in the fall of last year, well into the fall, but because of the macaroni virus making havoc of everything, I was trying to be careful. Tell you the reason I was trying to be careful so I didn't hurt our work in the Pacific and not be able to do our work. But it is a joy and a privilege to be here today, and I just count it a wonderful privilege. I'm going to be greatly encouraged. I was telling Tommy when I first came in, one of the things I do is read the bulletins from different congregations when I'm somewhere in the middle of the Pacific. And I always love reading the bulletin from South Cobb. Mary and I just count it a blessing to be able to have the close fellowship with the South Cobb congregation. We hope and pray we're an encouragement to you. You are a real encouragement to us. And you know, you have a beautiful physical facility here in a beautiful location. And you just have a good man, I think he's good, wife may say differently, but a good man working with you, family, for a number of years. How many years? 20, 30? 30, wow. Wow, that's a long time. And we're very thankful to God for this family and for Tommy and his faithfulness to the church and the Word and the work of the Lord. Let's get started with a report. And I never start a report without thinking about Paul and Barnabas returning after the first missionary journey, and they rehearsed, or they gave a mission report, called all the church together, and they gave a mission report. Well, I don't want to say it, but the coronavirus has not only affected the church in the States, spiritually speaking, it's made the church stronger, I think, here in the States and in the Pacific Islands. But, boy, it wasn't long until the doors started closing. I mean, the foreign governments, something like this hit them, and it can just about wipe out a good portion of the population. And so the prime ministers and the governors and the premiers, they just closed the doors. They said, we'll stop this at the border, they thought. Well, they didn't. But it also opened other doors for us, and we're thankful to God for that. You know, the Lord's got a way of giving opportunities if we are looking for opportunities. If we're being observant, God closes some doors, things close some doors, God will open other doors. But travel restrictions, it got to be a ball game. I don't mind telling you, we never knew what was going to be involved in getting out of the States and getting into another country in the Pacific Islands. There came to be mandatory, I do mean mandatory. They're going to stop you and turn you around, send you back. There were mandatory declaration forms to be filled out, and I know that my nasal passages are not the problem anymore. I've already had them go up my nose so many times because most countries will check you on entry. They'll check you after 5 days, and they'll check you before you leave. So this got to be the norm. And then, when we got into a country or a territory, U.S. territory, there was quarantining. Some quarantining was unbearable. But we said we want to do the work. We won't whine about it. Here's what I told the younger missionaries that would join me on the field. How would you like to be John on the Isle of Patmos in quarantine for 2 years? How would you like that? How would you like that? And so I always thought about there's a blessing in this, and I could always find some joy and blessings in it. Our work for the last 49, soon be, we turned the 50th year in just a few more months has always been centered around what I said to Mary Martin in 1972, the three T's. The three trees. The three T's. We're going to teach them the gospel. We're going to train them, and I just hit something, sure enough. Ooh, I know I hit something. Oh, I knew somebody would save me. All right, then we're going to not only teach them and train them, we're going to trust them, and then we're going to turn them loose. Our goal has always been, Matthew 28, 19, and 20, to go and make disciples. If we're not doing that, we're not doing what the Bible said. And so we're going to be busy about going and making disciples of every nation, every country, every tribe, every village, and every place where we can go. Our means of doing it, we started in 1972 with the idea of the three E's. That is, as we go into a country, a city, a town, a village, or wherever we go, we're going to go in evangelizing. That stands to reason. And so we would carry the gospel in and begin to evangelize. And then we would back it up with a strong edification effort. And we would stay with that as long as we needed to. And then we made sure, and this is going back near on to 50 years, we would make sure that we are equipping them to do the Lord's work. One of the things we've always been involved in, because we got the first visas, work permits, ever in the Fiji Islands. The Churches of Christ had never been registered, never had to have a visa work permit. And you know, knowing foreign governments, good thing I didn't know as much then as I know now, but I said to Mary, we don't know we'll go anywhere beyond the 2.5-year visa work permit that we have. So we're going to edify them so that they can duplicate this process again, and then we're going to equip them in the work of the Lord. Soul winners, Bible school teachers, preachers, and elders and deacons. And I thought the elders and deacons wasn't going to ever come. I wasn't being negative. I could just see that we're not making progress as much as I would want us to make. Now, as we go into a country, we're going to duplicate what the Apostle Paul did. We're going to go to the urban areas, the metropolitan, the capital areas, the city areas. And we're going to go there with the gospel of Jesus Christ. We're going to evangelize. We're going to edify when people are baptized. And we're going to equip them in the work of the Lord. But we don't stop what I think about as being the easy areas. It's easy to be in the capital, good facilities, good housing, good motels, and just good places to be. But we are also going to be, and let me back up. I think I can back up. We're going to also go to the villages as well. We're going to go to some villages that are very far-flung. And some instances in the early years, 1972, where Caucasians had never gone. And sometime Mary reminds me, it's a good thing that we didn't know then what we know today. And I guess that is for a reason. And so we're not going to only plant congregations, and I prefer to use the word plant. If we sow the seed, then we plant. The Lord established, and we plant. And we're going to plant churches in the cities and in the villages as well. Now, I'll mention just maybe a couple of ways. So we do it 2 or 3 ways, and they're major ways. These are major ways. They're still effective. After 49, nearly 50 years, they are still very effective. Isn't that wonderful? But now we've changed. It's no longer all black and white. It's a lot in color. Whatever we do is a lot more in color this day and time. We do a lot of giving out tract packets. Oh, they open doors. Can you believe that before I've ever gone to a city, a town, or a village, someone's already been baptized? They go to someone and say, I've read in this tract, I want to be baptized by immersion. I want to be baptized in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and I want to be added to the church. And there was always somebody to do it. Always someone to do it. And it would start. That's before I ever set foot in that city, town, or village. Now, that don't happen every time, but it does happen. And then another way that we have in finding those good contacts, not only giving out tract packets, but also enrolling people in Bible correspondent courses. We have always felt like if we can sow the seed and really sow it with a continuation process, we're going to find people that will obey the gospel. If we sow the seed, that is, we going to see the church planted eventually. And then also, there's that people evangelism. You can't get away from that. We have groups that come out and join us. Sometimes it can be one person. It can be a husband and wife. It can be elders, deacons, preachers. It can be up to 20, 21 people. We try not to get over 20 that we can handle. But evangelism cannot be all that it needs to be without people. You won't plant churches without people evangelism. Those foot soldiers that come and are on the field. A lot of times it is Mary and I, and that's on a daily basis. But it is also others as well. Now, here is a congregation, and I can't tell you the whole story. Mary always tells me, she speaks to me in Fijian, and she always reminds me because she knows it sticks better sometimes if it's in Fijian. And she'll say to me, Robert, don't start the telenovela. Don't start too much. Because she knows I can start an island story like an islander, and I can go on and on and on. Well, this congregation is one of those that was planted before I ever set my foot in this village area, in this village. Isn't that wonderful? And you know how it came? Mary and I gave out some tract packets to about a half a dozen people that had come to Suva, Fiji to go to FIT, Fiji Institute of Technology. They went home with us for lunch. We gave them all a tract packet. They went back to their home country of Vanuatu, which is to the west of Fiji, and that tract packet went from one house to another house to another house. You know, there were 25 people already baptized in Duviara and by Vanuatu before I ever set foot there. And it is a congregation that has continued to grow spiritually and numerically. One of the things that we're also heavily involved in, and this won't mean so much to us here, because we can go to a bookstore or we can go to Walmart and we can get everything we need to make our own visual aids. Am I right? Our Bible school teachers can do that. But you know, not true in the Pacific Islands. So we have developed a lot of materials. We print songbooks in different languages. We also tracts, Bible correspondent courses. We also do soul-winning books, step-by-step teaching the gospel. And also for elders, deacons, preachers, and soul winners. Yes, we do all of that. And also books that they can use in their Bible school program as well. Now, how many people this morning have got all excited about, and it's good to be excited. We need to be excited about some things. But some things I don't need to be excited about. One of the things is whether or not it's going to do this or that. I can't control that. Now, I do like to know where I'm going and what I'm doing and what's going to happen if I possibly can. Believe me, it has saved my life on one occasion. I can't say on more than one, but one occasion. And we're used to disasters, hurricanes and typhoons with winds over 200 miles an hour, volcanoes going off, earthquakes, where you look out at the land and it's doing this. It's doing this, like the ocean waves. And those are the ones you say, oh, Lord, please help us and lock in those plates as soon as possible. Because you don't know if you're going to live or die. So we go through a lot of these. And also it is an opportunity for us to let our light shine and couple together with the brethren all they can do to really show what the Church of Christ is all about in a village, in a town, in a city, or whatever. So there are a lot of ways that we're going to try to reach into the hearts of men and women. Now, the results is indigenous congregations. Churches that, what do you mean by indigenous, Robert? Churches that can reproduce themselves, they can govern themselves, and they can support themselves. Isn't that wonderful, brethren? And every congregation that we plant, the one above on the top part, the one down below, every one of those that we've planted throughout the years, we've had one objective in mind, to bring that to an indigenous congregation. You know why? Where we can go on to another country, another city, another town, another village, and carry the gospel of Jesus Christ. We are going to do everything within our power. Now, 26 years ago, we'll be in April. 26 years ago, we started Pacific Island Bible. It's not a secular college. It is totally a Bible college. And it's structured and organized differently than any Bible college in the States, because we are not working in a landlocked area like Africa or Asia or this big island we're on. You ever thought about we're sitting on an island? An ocean to the north, to the east, to the west, and the south. We're on an island, but it's a big one. Well, that's not true in the Pacific. We are on many islands. And because of that, we had to structure the college, 2-year curriculum, and we had to structure it in such a way that we would take the instructors and set up satellite schools throughout the Pacific Islands. But that's changed. Once we went on the web, that changed. Mary said to me when we went on the web, she said, oh, you're opening up a can of worms. It's not only going to be Pacific Island Bible College, it's going to go into different parts of the world. And I said, Mary, I've thought about that, and we're now ready for it. We were not ready for it 26 years ago, but today we are ready for it. Now, we are in 28 locations throughout the Pacific Island nations. We're in 8 other countries of the world. We just added number 8. And that is to Rwanda. You don't remember Rwanda, do you? Oh, there were some bad things went on there a number of years ago. They called it ethnic cleansing, but what it amounted to, one tribe didn't get along with another tribe, and that's been happening since time began. So we are in many, many locations. Now listen to this. We have over 2,800 students. We're about to hit the 3,000 mark. Students that are taking Pacific Islands Bible College courses. We usually use 10 or 15. Our highest number would be 15 instructors every year. And we offer 27 courses on the PIBC website. If you're interested in looking at our website, write this down. It's easy to remember. PIBC Church of Christ, all lowercase, all spelled together. PIBC Church of Christ. Don't just put PIBC. You'll get a denominational group out of Guam. But we knew that. We had started, or the Pacific Island Bible College was established before they were, but we have to differentiate. PIBCchurchofchrist.com. Brother Michael Gifford manages our website, and you'll see a lot of interesting things on this website. So we thank God. Now, we have more courses than this, but the 27 are ones that you can take on the web. Now, here's the hitch. Many of the Pacific Island brethren cannot stay on the web that long to take a course for about an hour, hour and a half. So we started off offering courses. Remember the old videos? Videos. Oh, you get stuck and hung up. You have to just take them out, attack them and take them out, and ruin them for life. Then we went from that to DVDs. We can't even operate with DVDs any longer. You know why? No more DVDs in the Pacific. They all are using the flash drive. So we can put all of our courses on one flash drive, send it to them, then they can download the textbooks, or we can send those plus the exams to them if they are taking it in that way. You know, I know that paramount, number one, above everything else, is the church. Jesus didn't give his blood for Pacific Islands Bible College. Are you with me? Say amen. That's right, Dwayne. He didn't give his blood, but he gave it for the church. And Pacific Island Bible College is just one of the arms of our edifying and equipping. I better say evangelize, edifying, and equipping. Because we're always getting people to say, can I attend these courses? I'm not a member of the Church of Christ. Well, you know what? Before those classroom courses are finished that they're taking, they've already been baptized into Christ. So, in one way or the other, we're impacting about 3,000 people in the Pacific. Isn't that wonderful? Think about impacting what you're doing. One of the things you're doing is impacting as many people as was obedient to the gospel on the day of Pentecost. Wow. You know, brethren, we can be grouchy and grumble and complain about everything that comes along, or we can look for opportunities, for good opportunities, wise opportunities for really serving the Lord. I don't mean something silly and irresponsible. We need to use good wisdom, and we need to be very wise in what we do. Pacific Island Bible College is just an opportunity we have. But if you talk to the Pacific Island brethren, they'd say, whoa, wait a minute. You're asking us the impact Robert and Mary has had in the Pacific? And they would start, but they'd say, here's the one thing that really has changed the face of the church, is when they started Pacific Islands Bible College. You see, we thought about, at one time, we thought about starting a college in one country. You know what? Through the research, I discovered we'd never have over 15, 20 students, 20 at the maximum. Too many regulations. Cost too high. So what we did was started in a way that we would carry the courses and instructors to them, and then when we're not with them, they can take courses by the flash drive now, either online or by flash drives. And so that's what we have done. And they'd be the one to tell you that. Just too many of them told me that. Now, this is what some of our PIBC, I didn't select the biggest. The biggest PIBC courses in classroom that we teach runs about 75 to 80 in attendance. When we carry courses into that place, that location, we'll have 75, 80 students that will take courses. But the two slides above, that's one class. Now the two below, they're two different classes. So this gives you a general idea of they're going to be in class for 4 weeks. And they're going to give their time and energy and heart to this study. And so many times the brethren will say to us, does this have to stop? No, you can continue to take courses. But it's not like having you, Robert, or one of the other instructors here in person. There is a difference. But we try to tell them, listen, watch and listen. If you'll do that, it's just like I'm there with you or one of the other instructors. If you'll take it in that way, it's all in the way that you look at it. Now, like I said, we have anywhere from 10 to 15 instructors. These are men that are biblically qualified, academically qualified. But you know, academics, that's just one thing. That's a piece of paper on the wall. That's all that is. Brother Franklin Camp used to tell us in the Gus Nichols School of Preaching back in the late 60s, I nearly said early 70s, I was already through. But he used to say to us, fellows, that's just a piece of paper. If you don't have it here and you don't know that book, it don't mean a thing. Anybody can get the paper that'll set the exams, study enough and pass the exams. So we're very thankful to God that, and our instructors come from many different schools. Georgia School of Preaching. Not only that, but also Memphis School of Preaching and other schools as well. We're thankful to God for that. And they are men that love the Lord. They love the church, and they're dedicated to it. Coronavirus don't affect them. They're going to be the same no matter what, where, when, how. They're going to be the same. You know, I've thought a lot about coronavirus and how long has it been going on? How long has it been going on? 2 years? How would you like for something to go on for 40 years? Think about the persecution of the early church. Shortly after the day of Pentecost, it was not that long until it started. It didn't stop for 40 or 45 years. Brethren, we got a lot to be thankful for. So we're thankful for these instructors. And every year, thank God for those students who dedicate themselves to it. And they can all just hear my speech. You know, love is greater than knowledge. Knowledge can puff up your head. And I love it when they say, but Brother Robert, our heads are all bones. They can't get any bigger. No, but mentally you can get to thinking that you are something. We're thankful for that. And we just had our first graduate in Malawi, Africa. Isn't that something? We've gone outside the Pacific, impacting not only the Pacific but also the world. You know, Paul, and if I said a humambula, you wouldn't remember that 5 humambula minutes. But probably you wouldn't. You might remember Jovalisi Rakambiti, but not Paul Humambula. But Paul was he is a assistant headmaster. What do we say in England, in the States? A principal. Okay, a principal. And he said, I cannot attend the full-time Bible college here in Malawi, Brother Rob, but I want to know more about the Word of God. I want to be a better servant. I want to be an elder someday. I'm already helping with the preaching, but I want to be better at it. But I can't never go to a full-time school. I've got 8 kids in our family. And he said, I can't do it. But what I've read on your website, I can take Pacific Islands Bible College courses, and I can increase my, you know, when he finished, wow, he was so thankful. He said, I have learned so much. Brother Robert, I can't tell you all that I've learned. And I'm just eager to get out and even do more for the Lord. So we're not only affecting the Pacific with 28 locations, but also 8 other countries of the world. Now, here's what we begin to see about, I guess it was about 10 years ago. We begin to see more elders being appointed in the Pacific Islands. Now, that's where we work primarily, and I'm interested in souls all over the world. But we begin to see more elders and deacons appointed. These are 2 men that have been appointed elders most recently. And they're looking at a third one. And then Bible, I love this picture. Let me love it, will you? Let me love it. Because both of these are graduates of Pacific Islands Bible College. The one sitting, Brother Salimu, is teaching in the Samoan language in American Samoa. Brother Omega, standing up, is translating for the English speakers there in the congregation at noon. Isn't that a great picture? I mean, here's one teaching, here's one translating, and both of them are Pacific Islands Bible College students and already graduated. And then preachers as well. So elders and deacons, Bible school teachers, and preachers as well. But not only that, you know, Brother Tambera in the country of Kiribati. I remember when he said to me, Brother Robert, they want me to speak on the radio, but I'm afraid. I'm really afraid. He had already been preaching for a few years, probably 5, 6, 7 years. But he said, I don't feel like I have enough knowledge, and I don't feel like I know how to do it as well. Well, when he graduated from Pacific Island Bible College, he went to the only AM shortwave radio station in the country that goes to every city, which are few in that country, of Kiribati, every town, every village. Wow. Tambera began to immediately change Brother Nemata, the man that you see in the photo down below. So we're thankful to God for that. And not only that, but for people that want to be soul winners for Jesus. You know, if you don't know how to be a soul winner for Jesus, you can do more damage than you can good. There's a way to go about it. And we've always believed that. We've always taught, even before Pacific Island Bible College. We always trained. But one of the things that we do in 2 of our courses in Pacific Island Bible College, we've got one course that's entitled The Mission of the Church. And then another course, The How to Soul Winning. And these are 2 courses that really help prepare them. And Mary, wow. You know, I was just thinking about it the other day. I must be one of the most blessed men of the world. I won't say the only blessed. I'd hope that all of you men that are married feel the same way. But I married my high school sweetheart. We met at Haleville High School. When I came to Georgia Tech, I told her daddy, we need to get married, and I'll just carry her and make sure she finishes high school. In Atlanta, he said, I don't want to believe you in nothing. Well, she did. And she started a college here in Atlanta as well. But she is a jewel. She is she's just a very gentle and easy-natured person. But not only that, she's a great soul winner for Jesus. An excellent Bible instructor. And one of the times that I really appreciated knowing it was happening, well, they'd have chased me out of there with a stick if I'd tried to stick my nose in the class they were teaching for women. But when Mary and our oldest daughter, Tanya, taught a series of lectures, or taught some Bible classes to women in Laetoka, Fiji, that was very unique to see the mother and the daughter outshining the mother. The mother was uneasy to do it in Fijian, which she knows Fijian better than the daughter. But when the daughter stands up, she starts teaching in Fijian because she had been taught Fijian from the time she's 4 years old. And so she felt very comfortable in doing it, but Mary is just really a diligent worker in the kingdom of God. You know, sometimes because of how many years we've been in this work in the Pacific, 49, it'll turn 50 in a few more months. People think I'm aged, I'm old. Don't you say I'm old. What'd you say? Don't say I'm old. That's a relevant term. My daddy lived to be 95 and my mother 96. My great-grandmother on my mother's side 109. So I hope I'm going to strike but I'll take whatever the Lord gives. But you know, our work never ends because it's a never-ending work of teaching and training and trusting and turning loose another younger generation that'll be ready to do the work of the Lord. Will I have another bell? I'll have to. Thank you, sis. Thanks. So our work never ends. And many years ago, our oldest daughter, Tanya, said, because the grandchildren said, when is Grandpa going to retire? And Tanya said, don't ever say that in front of him. And luckily they didn't. They said when he becomes mentally or physically incapable. So keep us in your prayers that God will bless us with as much time as possible and to do more work for Him. Okay, I'm going to stop here and a couple of things just clean up or finalizing. If you do not get our newsletter into your home, please make sure that you give it to me with a zip code. And we don't do digital. That's just another work, and I don't want to start it. Sorry, I'm sorry. But I don't want to. If you do that, you'll have to stand in front or sit in front of that computer, or you'll have to print it off. Why not just let us send it already printed off to you every month? So if you don't get our newsletter, please make sure you give me a name and address with a zip code, and we will put you on the mailing list. Keep me and Mary in your prayers. Sounds like I have a lot of energy, don't it? Sounds like it, don't it? Don't let it fool you. I get tired in the evenings anymore. And I love my beauty rest about 1 or 2 in the afternoon. That's because of British influence in Fiji. I like that for about 15, 20, 30 minutes maximum. And then I'm ready to fire again to 10, 11, or 12 o'clock at night. I'm ready to go. All right. Any questions about the work we do and about the area where we work in the Pacific? And that is extended now to the world, and we're thankful to God for that opportunity. I hear you, Rob. Yes, there are others. We have about 15 other instructors that work with us. That varies up and down the scale, Rob, from time to time. And then we have Brother Joey Treat that lives in Guam now. He is not under the oversight of the elders anymore at Forest Park. No doctrinal problem, nothing like that, but just convenience and for expediency's sake. And he's in Guam. And so we have others that work with us. Brother Randy English has developed our radio work through his effort and the Churches of Christ. We have, it's either 7 or 8 radio stations that we own. And I say we, the Churches of Christ. And Randy heads up that aspect of our work. Isn't that great? That's just enough. But what I'm trying to do this morning is to report on the work that we directly touch it and are doing.
Are there any areas in the Pacific Islands that you have not planted a seed on that you still have a target at this time?
Oh, yes, brother. One of those is Tokelau. They have no airport in that small country. It's a small country of about 5,000 to 6,000 people. And if you go in on cargo boat, you go out when another cargo boat comes. It can be 1 month later, 3 months later, 6 months later. So you can't get stuck like that. So that limits our opportunity. And then in Nauru, they used to set on the largest deposit of phosphate in the world. Now that's been mined out. But they have such, what's the right word? Such restraining regulations, that's the first one, right? Regulations that you'd be crippled in going in. So what we've tried to do is find other ways. But we have less than that many, where we've got to carry the gospel and plant the church. Now, ask me, how many were there when we went 49 years ago? Nearly 50. All of them. All the countries in the Pacific. Dwayne, thank you for that. And also Ron, thank you. Any others? We just thank God for an opportunity. We're going to serve Him faithfully. You can be guaranteed, as long as I have the right mind, and I pray I'll always have that, you'll never have to worry about me stepping outside the boundaries of that book. That's unknown. And I'm thankful for men like Brother Gus Nichols, Brother Franklin Camp, Brother Bobby Duncan, that for 2 years I was able to sit at they and other men like Levi Sides and others at the Gus Nichols School of Preaching. It wasn't called that then. It was called the 6th Avenue. And it was a lot larger then. Any other questions? To all of you, to the elders, to all of you that are faithful members, be that way, be faithful, no matter what. And just stay as safe as you can. May God bless you. May God keep you. Thank you for letting me give this report during the Bible school hour. And I'll take maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes to meet with the elders after services before I head south. Head south out of the north. All right. Thank you so much.